The year is 2009. A man sits alone in a near-empty apartment in Los Angeles. His phone isn't ringing. His agent has stopped returning calls. He's 34 years old, and by every measure Hollywood uses to judge a man, he has already failed. His name is Bradley Cooper, and here's what nobody expected. Within 12 months, this forgotten actor would become the biggest comedic star on the planet. Within 4 years, he would stand on the Academy Awards stage as an Oscar nominee. And within a decade, he would be considered one of the greatest directors of his generation. But on that night in 2009, he had nothing. The question is, how does a man go from invisible to iconic? And what almost stopped him from getting there? Stay with me, because this story is not what you think it is. Let's set the scene. By 2008, Bradley Cooper had been in Hollywood for nearly a decade. He'd done the work. He'd taken the meetings. He'd smiled in the right rooms, and it had gotten him almost nowhere. He had a recurring role on the TV show Alias. He had small parts in forgettable films. He had one semi-notable role in Wedding Crashers. But he played the villain, the jerk, the guy the audience was supposed to hate, and they did. Not exactly the launching pad for a leading man career. Directors weren't calling. Studios didn't see a star. His own representatives quietly suggested he might want to consider television full-time. The message from Hollywood was polite, but clear you're not it. But here's what nobody knew at the time. There was a script sitting on a desk somewhere in Hollywood. A ridiculous, chaotic, R-rated comedy about 4 men who wake up in Las Vegas with no memory of the night before. That script was called The Hangover, and the role Bradley Cooper was about to fight for would change everything. But before we get there, we need to go back to where this all started. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. January 5, 1975. Bradley Charles Cooper is born to Charles Cooper, a stockbroker, and Gloria Campano, a homemaker. He grows up in Jenkintown, a quiet suburb just north of Philly. By all accounts, a normal American childhood. But there was one thing that wasn't normal. From the time he was a small boy, Bradley Cooper was obsessed with movies, not just watching them, dissecting them. He idolized Robert De Niro. He studied Sean Penn. He watched The Elephant Man at age 5. A movie that disturbed him so deeply it never left him. His father took him to see it, thinking nothing of it. Bradley couldn't stop thinking about it for years. That image of a man misunderstood by the world around him would haunt him and eventually shape him. He studied at Georgetown University, where he majored in English. Then he did something bold. Something his family didn't entirely understand. He moved to New York City and enrolled at the Actors Studio Drama School at the New School. This is where something clicked. He was serious. He was hungry. He was technically trained in a way most Hollywood pretty boys never bother to be. But training alone doesn't open doors in Hollywood. What opens doors in Hollywood is luck. And timing, and sometimes being the last man standing when everyone else gives up. Here is a number that should stop you cold. Bradley Cooper spent 10 years in Hollywood before anyone took him seriously as a leading man. 10 years. He moved to Los Angeles. He auditioned constantly. He got Alias, a supporting role in J.J. Abrams' spy drama. It was a good show, but his character was killed off. Then came a string of films that went nowhere. Wet Hot American Summer, My Little Eye, failure to launch. The Midnight Meat Train, a horror film that barely got a release. He was working, but he wasn't rising. And this is where everything almost collapsed. In 2007, Bradley Cooper hit what he would later describe as his lowest point. He was 32 years old. Most actors who were going to make it had already made it by that age. Hollywood had a cold logic about these things. He later said in interviews that he genuinely questioned whether it was going to happen. Whether any of it was going to happen. There was also something darker going on beneath the surface. Cooper has spoken openly in interviews about struggling with alcohol during this period of his life. The rejection, the uncertainty, the grinding invisibility of being almost someone. It took a toll. He got sober. And that decision, that private, painful, courageous decision, would become the foundation of everything that followed. Because a man who has fought his own demons fights differently than a man who hasn't. Director Todd Phillips is casting a film called The Hangover. The concept is simple and insane. 3 friends try to retrace a wild night in Las Vegas to find their missing friend before his wedding. It's crude. It's chaotic. It's exactly the kind of movie the Hollywood establishment didn't take seriously. Bradley Cooper wanted the lead role of Phil desperately. But here's the thing. He wasn't the obvious choice. He wasn't a proven comedic lead. He wasn't a box office name. The studio had real reservations. He fought for it anyway. He tested. He charmed. He convinced Todd Phillips that he could carry the film. Not just as a funny guy, but as the cool, magnetic center that the whole chaos spun around. He got the part. The Hangover opened in June 2009. It made $467 million at the worldwide box office, on a $35 million budget, overnight. And that word is not an exaggeration. Overnight, Bradley Cooper became a star. But what happened next shocked Hollywood. Because instead of cashing in and making The Hangover 2 and The Hangover 3 and riding the comedy wave until it dried up, Bradley Cooper made a different choice. He decided to become something more. Most actors who find massive commercial success in comedy stay in comedy. It's safer. It's lucrative. The audience already loves you there. Bradley Cooper looked at that safety net and walked away from it. In 2012, he starred in Silver Linings Playbook, David O. Russell's raw, emotionally complex film about mental illness, grief, and love. He played Pat Solitano, a man newly released from a psychiatric facility, trying to rebuild his life. It was nothing like Phil from The Hangover. It was brave. It was vulnerable. It was the performance of a man who had something real to say. The Academy noticed. Bradley Cooper received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He was 37 years old, and he wasn't done. The following year, he starred in American Hustle, another David O. Russell film, earning his second Oscar nomination, then American Sniper in 2014. He transformed himself physically and emotionally to play Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, the most lethal sniper in American military history. The film became a cultural phenomenon, grossing over $500 million domestically. His third Oscar nomination. 3 consecutive Oscar nominations. That had never happened to someone whose career started as the villain in Wedding Crashers. But here's what nobody expected. He still wasn't done. Bradley Cooper doesn't just star in a film. He makes one. A Star is Born. The story of a fading musician who discovers and falls in love with a brilliant young artist. Had been made 3 times before. It was a known quantity. A Hollywood institution. Cooper directed it, starred in it, sang in it live on stage, in front of real concert audiences. He learned to play guitar. He transformed his voice. He developed a southern rock persona named Jackson Maine from scratch. And then he cast Lady Gaga opposite him. A decision that shocked the industry. The film was a masterpiece. It earned 8 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. The song Shallow won the Oscar for Best Original Song. Critics called it one of the finest musical dramas in decades, and Cooper himself earned his 4th Oscar nomination for acting, and his 1st for directing. 4 acting nominations, 1 directing nomination. From the man Hollywood once couldn't find a use for, the same man who sat alone in that apartment in 2009 wondering if any of it would ever happen. The nominations kept coming. In 2023, Cooper took on perhaps his most ambitious role yet. Leonard Bernstein, the legendary American composer and conductor, in the biographical film Maestro, which he also directed. He spent years preparing. He learned to conduct. He studied Bernstein obsessively. He wore prosthetic makeup that transformed his face. And once again, the Academy came calling. His 5th and 6th Oscar nominations for acting and directing. 6 Oscar nominations, 0 wins. A fact that has become one of Hollywood's most discussed anomalies. But here is what those nominations really mean. They mean that a boy from Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, who was told he wasn't it, kept showing up anyway. Who got sober when it would have been easier not to? Who took the risky role when it would have been safer to stay comfortable? Who decided to direct when everyone expected him to just act? He has also become one of Hollywood's most respected advocates for mental health awareness, speaking openly about sobriety and the importance of vulnerability in a culture that often punishes it. He has a daughter, Lee, born in 2017. He has spoken about how fatherhood reshaped his sense of purpose. The work has always been personal. That's what makes it last. Here is the truth about Bradley Cooper that Hollywood never predicted. The years of rejection didn't break him. They built him. Every failed audition taught him what he was reaching for. Every forgettable film taught him what he refused to become. Every year of invisibility gave him the hunger that would later burn through a camera lens and onto a screen and into the hearts of audiences around the world. The 10 years of no led to a lifetime of yes. He is not the most decorated actor of his generation in terms of trophies, but he may be the most complete. The rare figure who can make you laugh until you cry, then make you cry for entirely different reasons, and then sit behind a camera and make you feel something you didn't know you were carrying. In that apartment in 2009, the phone wasn't ringing. Today, Bradley Cooper doesn't wait for the phone to ring. He builds the thing. He directs the thing. He becomes the thing, whatever it needs to be. And somewhere in that quiet apartment, in that long silence before the storm, that is exactly what he was preparing for.